And we are live for another Thursday edition of the Mattriarchy. I am, of course, your host, Rhys, and we're going to kick it off right here. We've got joining us this evening, Matt Weldon, coming to us from the great big state of Texas, the former republic that it is. And we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. But Matt, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh man, thanks for letting me be your passenger for the evening.
Well,
And
I tell you what, I'm a huge. This is going to be a little weird. I'm a huge fan, right?
thanks, mate.
So I happened to see Punchline number one at at one of my local shops. I'm of course in West Nebraska. I don't keep that a secret. Find me if you got a problem with it. And um I just in the last year we picked up a shop here in my little town of Scotts Bluff. But before that, I was driving a couple of hours up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, where I have in-laws, and my I was stopping at the shop up there, and I saw a Punchline sitting on the shelf, and I said, "What the hell is this?" it,
That's pretty awesome, dude. That's kind of
it
cool.
caught
Like
my eye.
you're saying you
It
got
caught my
issue
eye, and I
one.
recognized Bill's name from Twitter, and I saw
Ah,
the issue itself caught my eye, and I picked it up and I read through the first like 5 pages, and I said, "This has to come home with me." I fell in love with everything about it, and I had to know more. So you made a fan right there.
what? I mean, you're saying you found issue one on the shelves
Yeah,
last year? Wait a minute, was it
yeah,
last year? Holy cow, I
yeah.
can't
It would
believe
have been
it's been that long.
probably been a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out October 31st. It was supposed to come out on Halloween of 2018. I forgot all about that. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long, but no, that's a miraculous tale. I mean, was it a big comic book shop? The
No, no. It's a little shop, and they are at the time the one of the owners. There was a pair of owners, and one of them is a huge indie comics fan. So he like when they had just opened up about a year ago, and they were really pushing indie titles. So there was a bunch of Antarctic, and there was a bunch of Alterna stuff, and a bunch of Aftershock stuff. Uh,
mm,
and so that was really what the guys he loves indie books, and so he was really trying to push that. Um, and so it just happened. It just happened that I spotted that.
that's a miracle, man. That's a really exciting tale. We've been so blessed from cats like yourself and many others who have seen it, and that's what I tell Bill all the time is you know, we spent quite a bit of time on that before issue one actually ever hit the shelves, and I had agonized and agonized over the design of the characters and the look of the book, the logo and the name, and like I said, the designs. So because with a new indie book, it's really all kind of on me to get somebody to find that book amongst all the other books on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? And you confirming that all the laboring that I did for a year or two, man. I don't even know how long we worked on it. We published the very first issue in 2017, probably a year before that, on Comixology.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, we had been working on it for a long time. So I mean, to to hear stuff like that, and and to hear shops support indie stuff, that's always cool. But little victories and big moments, and now I'm here hanging out and talking and drawing and having like the time of my life right now. So I can't be more happy with how things are turning out so far. I mean, we got uh there's I couldn't believe it when they also picked our book issue one for a free comic book day book either. And we're just trying to keep that momentum going, and we got a lot of stuff to reveal coming out very soon too. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty exciting the that whole journey you guys have been through with all of that. I'd love to ask some specific questions. I probably will on there.
Yes.
Um, I got to do my nerd thing first and talk about the things I love about Punchline. But one of my first questions is, why is it called Punchline? Right, one of the things I've never understood. Right, I love the title, right? I love the title because it socks you in the teeth, right? And it's one of those things where it's just like, ooh, what's this? Um, but at the same time, I don't understand it at all. And I'm not gonna sit here.
Yeah.
It's so profound. It just means so much to me. Just I understand it from a marketing perspective, but I don't understand it from like a anything beyond that, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, let me see if I can elaborate or try and expound on it, and fill in some gaps. I do have a couple of explanations for it. One of them being that I couldn't believe that the name wasn't taken whenever I started looking up other comic books, and then I approached Bill about it, and I said, he came to me with a list of names. We were out eating one day, and he's like, what do you think about a couple of these? And I said, and I literally only had one name in my mind, and Bill. And I wish he could be here. He'll probably, if you have us on again, he'll be here next time. But I think he's working tonight. But he hated it. He couldn't stand it. I said, Bill, what about Punchline? He said, not a chance. He said, I don't think so. He's like, if you Google that, too much other crazy stuff is going to come up. And I'm like, well, that's the perfect reason to pick that name is, because it's such a common word. If anybody Googles Punchline, then they'll see our book, right? I mean, that seemed like a better reason. And Bill, and I'll say this because he's not present, fancies himself like a bit of a comedian, or a little bit uh, tried to implement a number of humorous aspects into the writing in the book. And he told me, he's like, yeah, he said, you design the character, the powers, the names, just whatever, come up with whatever you want, and we'll make a book out of it. And it was total pandemonium for so long. But because of the action, the superhero antics, and the humor, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of the punching that and the action that I had planned on putting into this book, and Bill's contributions to it, I like the name just couldn't have. I didn't think there was a better name, and Bill said, forget about it. So I basically went home and I designed the logo anyways. Like, I just made it. I said, all right. And it just kind of fell together. It's still not a professional logo. I still never vectored it or did anything. If you looked at the logo for very long, you might not be able to tell. But I just designed this crappy logo, and I sent it to him, and I was like, and I put it on the book. He's like, so when did we decide at our next meeting? He said, when did we decide that the name was Punchline? And I said, I don't know. He just.
Before I told you about it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Bill just. I guess I didn't really give him a choice. And it's one of those things where you said, is it like a deep type of approach to whatever is goings on in the pages, and there's no mention of a character named that or anything like that yet. And right. I guess that was my first thoughts, but if you read too much into the book, there's the two main girls, the ex-hero that has to train the new hero, and she's so mysterious. Like, we don't we don't know a lot about her still.
And that's one of the things, like even 8 issues in, I keep wondering whether or not like she's really the villain, Mel, right? I mean,
it's working on you, then it's working.
Yeah, there's conflicted motives, and there's there's a painful reality to the conflict within her as a character, and the paranormal origins of it, and everything. What I love so much about it, but it was just like, it's one of those things where I love her character in that. I love the snarkiness and sort of how she's past it all, but really not. In her character, it's a ton of fun.
Well, that's cool that you've really kept up with it. Like, I mean, issue 8, yeah, issue 9 just hit the shelves this Wednesday, so we're very excited to get that one out, and then issue 10 will be out soon, and then it'll be another trade. We're doing trades every 5 issues, so like there's a lot to be revealed. There's a lot more action that we want to do, but then there's so many wild questions to explore too. So like
Oh yeah.
we're in a weird place where like, do we sacrifice a little bit of action here and there to get really deep into the story? You know what I'm saying? And we're kind of all over the place right now because we're very excited about the number of characters that we've introduced to and how we're going to bring them back and all this other stuff too. Because I just wanted to design, a bunch of really cool characters, and some came easily and some were extremely tough, but
Well,
so
and that's
so
actually,
worth it.
I think honestly, as far as your pacing on all of that, I think you're doing a really good job of balancing, the superhero action with the overarching story. Um,
Oh, sweet.
that because it doesn't feel bogged down. That's one of the things that I think it's really easy to do, especially if you've got a world with like a lot of lore to it.
Yeah.
Talking to, I had Tim Lim on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about world building and the Black Hops and everything, which I haven't read yet because I missed the initial offering in 18, and I'm picking it up, the first volumes with Hair Trigger, so that'll be here like maybe next week.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. It's that cat's
but
flying along. Yeah.
we were talking about the complexity of the world that they've got going on there, and I'm sure you haven't read any of my stuff, but I've been doing web comics for a while with some compadres of mine, and we've got a fairly involved universe too. Um, uh,
Oh, maybe we're gonna have to cross over then one of these days, huh?
maybe. That's always something I look at is because I mentioned on Twitter last week that Punchline is my second favorite comic book universe
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
because mine is my first favorite.
I got you. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, yeah, I do remember that now. That that's really satisfying, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, the metal is in the chat, and he said that was the show I was on, and it was Tim and the metal and myself talking about our universes and our processes, and they're both the metal does a web comic too. He writes and draws his, um, and everything. But yeah, so
Dude, I'm excited to
you guys are
check
doing
some of
a
that stuff out. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're doing a really good job of fleshing out the universe in the form of all of it. And it's yeah, I think, and the way you're doing it a little bit at a time gives enough tease to kind of keep you coming back for it's like a soap opera in that. I think you're doing a really good job with all that. And I know I'm loving it. I know
Well, it's kind of cool, like you say that. I appreciate that too. It was a weird first issue because we didn't really explain anything, and I think a lot of people are refreshed by that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, WTF, you know what I'm saying? What the heck just happened? But a lot of people are praising uh, Bill for just jumping into it and just really like putting it out there and getting going on it and all. So yeah, so far that seems to be helping. And now, you can't hold out for too long, and before people start to wonder, what they're invested in, what they're involved in, or whether or not they want to continue on with the story. But
yeah.
yeah, we're excited to tell tales and do lots of other things too. So
And
man, that's
I
kind of
think the
cool.
beauty that you did with the first issue is that, and also I want to welcome Carl. Carltoons is
Hey,
on live as well.
Hey, hey.
He had his mic muted for a while, so I didn't want to introduce him before he was ready to talk.
Well done. Yeah, nice.
So, but anyway, one of the things I think that you did really well with it is it's not that you didn't explain anything, it's that you didn't overtly explain anything. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can glean from the first issue. The idea that these powers are not intrinsic to the characters that are at play. There are
Mhm.
rules and limitations behind them. That there is a governing body behind them, and a little bit about how they work. Just just on the surface level of it. That all that stuff that made me say, I must know more about this. And you see that you're weaving in, because one of my favorite things is the genre cross, right? So the fact that you're weaving in the magical, the mythic with the superhero is just I love that kind of stuff. So,
Dude, this really didn't have anything to do with it, just to put it out there, but I get behind what you're saying. I don't know how a lot of people feel, and I'm worried that they feel badly about it. But one of my favorite movies of last year was that Netflix movie Bright.
Brightburn.
No, just Bright with Will Smith.
Oh yeah, Will Smith. Yeah.
Dude, I mean such a wild concept, you know what I'm saying? Like orcs and elves and stuff like that in modern day. I just loved it so much, and I don't know exactly. Like I said, it didn't really have anything to do with. But
not to toot my own horn, but that's actually basically an intrinsic part of our universe over at Ideal Comics.
dude,
That not in an overt way. Like we have orcs and goblins, but they pretty much blend. The ones that can blend into normal society.
mm-hmm.
And like we have one character that's just been a side bit we've used in a couple of stuff called Lol Troll, and he's one of our. We have one realm of our comics is our one realm of our universe, I should say, is all online, and there's a whole universe online in our comics. And one of from our web comic, our main one, Force the Good and Evil, we have a character called Game Boy, who's basically the Peter of the internet.
That's kind of cool.
And he actually we have a Twitter profile for him, and every once again I go on there and do role play posts as Game Boy. But with that, Lol Troll is one of the internet characters, and he's an actual troll. He's an actual dark elf that uses magic to mean people and harass them online. And so he's I have an unfinished web novel that when we migrated the website recently, it got unpublished, which is fine because I was only 3 chapters or 3 entries in, and I need to finish it. I'm probably gonna do that before we republish it. But
hey, so yeah, what are your plans? Like, mean, get me up to speed. I wish I had been watching more, but I don't read a lot of stuff, and I mean I'm down working all the time. In fact, Bill gets on to me because I don't even read his emails most of the time, like much less like anybody else's stuff. So I'm getting away with this stuff now that Bill's not here.
I know how much you work because Doug, a couple of weeks ago, I was listening to Doug Tenaple rip into you for working stupidly.
Yeah, man, I can usually dodge a lot of that stuff, but I got torn into last night on Drawn and Quartered too because I missed a bunch of people's emails on a couple of questions throughout the week. And yeah, like Doug sent me a link this week too, and I missed that to get on the show. And like we had planned this for, I don't know, a week and a half. So I'm ridiculous like that. I need to get better at that stuff. But
so from the chat, the metal says, I'm fairly certain I ran into an actual elf blending into society in real life once. His eyes didn't seem natural to this realm, but he seemed nice to bother him.
Nice.
I suspect that maybe some true. Hey, Rumble Terrier has joined us as well. Hello, Rumble. So, as far as for what our plans are, we've been like since 2006, we have been publishing Forces of Good and Evil, which is a fish out of water high school dramedy about a pair of mismatched lifelong friends who, in their junior year of high school, get sent to superhero and supervillain high schools. And so the 2 main characters are Greg Mason, who is a goody two shoes, do it by the book, just nerd.
That's a good name.
And his inexplicably lifelong best friend Chad Little, who's he's kind of rough around the edges, kind of a jock, kind of a bully, but also kind of a not joiner. Thought he was going to be an evil fellow, and so when they get pegged through taking an aptitude test at their high school, government agents show up and tell them they're going to be going to the superhero or supervillain high schools and hand them manila envelopes. The next day, they show up at their schools they're assigned to, and Greg, the goody two shoes, is sent to villain school, and Chad is sent to hero school. And my buddy Chris Lawton and I came up with these ideas and did most of the development story wise back in 2003. We tried pitching them to Mad Magazine and got a couple of interesting rejection letters from them.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
and then it just sort of sat on a shelf. And in 05, we decided to, after collecting rejection letters from big companies, big and small, we decided to go ahead and just start doing self-publishing. And we thought we'd start with webcomics because back in the day, there was a pretty wide variety of webcomics that could get popular based on skill.
Oh, yeah. True that, yeah.
Bad cartoonists. We thought that we could get away with telling forces of this silly, fun story that's set in this more complex universe, but it's a comedy version of that universe, so to speak. And that with that we could go ahead and try to get some interest in it and try to build up some of the levels of it. Because one of the elements is that there's superheroes have been in the universe since the 30s. And the first superhero was a genie, was empowered by a genie.
Oh, that's cool.
Al Jin, and Al Jin was the and because of him, his inspiration, he's kind of like our Superman, and a bunch of other heroes joined the fray, and all of a sudden there's this resurgence or this a wellspring of people that are that become part of society. And so that's part of what's been going on with it. And so then by the time 2004, which is when Forces is first set, is in the fall of 2004. By the time 2004 rolls around, there's government training programs and licenses for being superheroes in different places, and all this society that's built around it. Alien invasion in the 50s.
What?
So that
aliens?
Yes, there's an alien invasion in the 50s. There's that because one of the Golden Age heroes, the Golden Rapid, was a water breathing amphibious alien from a distant world called Aquarius.
Holy crap! There's nothing that's off limits.
There is, and there really isn't. And
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
And so he came to Earth as a messenger of peace, and then in 51 he gets a distress signal from his home world. He goes back home, and he finds that the whole place is gone. It's just a there. Meanwhile, survivors from whatever happened there have made their way to Earth, and then there's a big war that goes on between the Earthlings and the Aquarians that lasts for a while and then dies down. And so there's all of this advanced technology married with normal technology, so that like lives of kids and forces are in the semi-rural Wisconsin town. They're pretty normal, but if they go up the road to Minneapolis, there's a good chance they're gonna somebody's gonna have a flying car. Right? So all that stuff is in play in our universe, and the thing is that superpowers have always existed, but because they're part of the humankind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in ancient man was more prevalent, and then as the tribes and nations separated in the ancient past, and those genetic components separated as well. So here in America in the early 20s, all these peoples come back together again, and then reigniting that paranorm spark within the humankind. And as the world gets smaller due to technology, as it did in the 20th century, other places start having hero superpowers too.
Whoa!
Or we call them paranorms. So
this sounds really. I mean, playing off of stuff, but there's a lot of original content that I'm feeling and that I'm excited to explore already from what you've mentioned so far.
Yeah, and that's all. And see, and the thing is, that's all like just background. I love talking world building, but that's all background for some of the other individual stories that we have going on. I mean, there's, we did a novella called 1951, or called Space 1951 on Odyssey, that talks about Golden Rapid going back into space, and all that stuff. And we're looking to actually get a illustrated print version of that done for 2020. That'll be available as an ebook.
Dang.
And because we actually have most of the art for it, we just need to touch it up, color it, and compile it. We've got mini comics that are used to be available on Comics Central.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, so you like webtoons or something like that?
Well, we have a website. We actually had.
Oh, so you're just doing
They're
dang.
just doing it solo. Yeah, we're when we first started, we were on Comic Genesis back in the day.
Holy crap.
And in 2007, the summer of 2007, I think it was, they had, maybe it was even 2006, they had a crazy server problems where they had so many web comics that they were so overburdened that anybody could go to the website and visit, but back end, you couldn't use any of their tools to upload it. We couldn't get into the back end to switch to FTP uploading. We couldn't stay logged on long enough to switch it, so that we were just locked out of it for 2 months.
What?
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, it was free, so we couldn't be mad, right? But like, well, we can't update our webcomic. So we just scrounged some money together, Chris and I, and bought our domain and some web space, and we've just been doing it that way since then. And yeah, so that's the thing.
Holy crap.
And so we just recently migrated to a new server, and so we are going through weekly and re-uploading our archives one story at a time. So tomorrow, we're up to 13, the 13th Forces story. So tomorrow we'll upload another one. It's going to be called Day in the Life Part 2, Chad Gets a Girl. And it's going to be about Chad and his sorry.
As a comment?
No, yeah. The medal says "Rest in Peace, Comic Central." Now they were a website. They were a clearinghouse for e-comics. And then he said, "I made a whole 5 doll hairs off that place." Yeah, and I'm feeling it. I missed their thing really badly. But at the same time, I appreciate their that they were willing to do that, and the reason they're getting out of the hosting business is they weren't generating enough sales to offset their cost of storage. They had so many people that were hosting their webcomics on there.
Dude.
But we're going to be making some moves hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I was about to ask you, like, so are y'all in a place where you're bringing in enough to where you can sustain what your operation, or are you guys looking for more funding all the time? Are you planning new?
We're always looking for more funding. We basically are paying the costs out of pocket between the partners. There's 4 partners, and so we're just working on that right now. Part of the reason we migrated to a new website was specifically so that we could have some different installations for doing ads and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So as we're more slow than I want with the rebuilding because there's just other stuff in the wind right now. But we're going to be putting some ads on the thing, and we also are in the next couple of weeks or probably a month we should be getting access to a building our own e-comic store, so people can look at our downloadable content.
Are you serious?
Right on it, yeah.
That sounds like a huge deal.
But yeah, it hopefully if we get it right, it could be. It's just a matter of getting people's eyeballs on it, and hopefully they like the product. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we've got plans. They're just we all have day jobs, and I think maybe a bit of a cart before the horse thing, but we've got we're right now Rico, 3 of our partners, Rico, Barry, and myself, on a comic called Tales of Shadow, Vox Populi, and it's the first issue of a 2-part miniseries that's a detective. He's an outlaw detective who's in a series of missing persons that may link to a series of monster attacks that have been destroying property and
Dang.
Mont City, which is a suburb of Denver in our universe.
I like me a good detective tale.
So, well, I think we have one. Um, we'll see about that, but I have one. Um, but yeah, so with that, um, we're that we did an Indiegogo for, and we raised enough to print it, and so we'll hopefully be getting that done. We're projected to distribute in December, and we're still going to shoot for that, but I don't think anyone's going to be getting them until January just because of the shipping schedules.
Oh yeah, but still, that's very soon. I mean,
So
that's
yeah, if everything goes according to plan, that's what we're looking at.
that's
Um,
the caveat. Yeah.
yeah, we've had a couple of things not go according to plan on that one, but um, so that's one, and then we're looking at probably summer for getting the second issue on that done, and then I'm working with another couple artists on two, possibly three other projects that are in universe that are at various stages of writing completion right now. And I'm expecting by January to have all of the writing chores done on.
Dang, yeah, you're not messing around.
Which will be both of them are spin-offs from Forces, and so one is called Spring Break 2005. I've Been to Hell, and which is in Villain School. One of Greg's friends, one of his cohorts, is a guy named Kevin who goes by the supervillain moniker Demon Priest, and Demon Priest was started as a visual gag in our second story that ended up being a full-fledged character that I love Demon Priest's character, and I'll try to show it up here after a little bit.
But, oh yeah, now you're talking about character designs. Now I gotta.
Yeah. Let me actually see if I can.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, you don't have to right this second, but at least after the show, yeah, you got me.
Yeah. So but anyway, so Demon Priest is he's a half demon. His mother is a demon, and his father is a Episcopalian minister. And his mother's converted. She doesn't live as a demon; she just is one. Gotcha. And so they're going to visit her dad in hell, but it's in our universe. In our universe, there's real hell, like the place of torment, and then there's hell, or pseudo hell, which is a pocket dimension that's been populated by demons since like the 3rd or 4th century BC.
That's awesome.
These earthbound demons discovered this pocket dimension and said, "Well, this will be ours. We'll rule here." And over the generations, it sort of morphed into a Nightmare Before Christmas version of Suburbia. And,
what?
And it's made up of a mix of the original fallen demons and their offspring and all different kinds of demonic entities that live there.
What?
And so Chad's, Chad and Greg, Chad and Demon Priest are good friends in our main storyline, and Greg and Demon Priest go to school together, and so they're asked to come along with Kevin to go visit his creepy old grandpa in hell, and so it's a 24-page comic that outlines that trip to hell. That is it's part of the webcomic's core continuity, but we're not doing it as a webcomic. It'll be a print exclusive, and we'll have an e-comic version too.
Holy crap!
And our pencil artist on that is Rolf Gardeau, who's our main Forces artist right now. He's a retired gentleman that we're friends with. Grew up. He started reading comics back in the early '60s, and so grew up with the Marvel age. And he got a job as a postmaster. And when he retired, he's like, "I only want to do what I want to do now that I'm retired, and I just want to draw." And
those lucky guys, they get those government gigs, their benefits, paying off their houses and such.
Yeah, you're not far wrong there. But anyway, so he just draws whatever he feels like. He paints buildings around town and all
Oh,
kinds of
that's
stuff.
cool.
And so
Dang.
he's got this great like jagged Archie style that he uses on forces. And I just love it. And so um, he's gonna be doing the pencil work for I've Been to Hell, and the my son Taliesin, who is 16 and is a very talented artist, is going to be doing the ink work on it.
Really?
So
That's I can't wait to freaking put
I'm
my kids to work.
yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one. And and the other one is the other project that I'm working on. There's two that I'm going between, but one of us is a bit of a secret, so we're going to keep it.
Oh, that's the good stuff. Yeah, all right, all right. I won't plunder. Yeah.
There's a couple of things we got to pieces need to be put in place before we're ready to announce it. So.
Oh, that's the good stuff. Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, the I've Been to Hell is actually the title of it. I've been working on the story on and off again since '07. But the title
Really?
is actually something that came to me probably 4 years ago, and it is actually the name of an old Breton folk song. Um, well, and like Breton folk tunes aren't like named like um this like they have a different naming convention.
Hmm.
It's not actually the tunes that are named, it's the lyric sets that are named. And so a lot of the oldest songs, the tunes have 5 and 6 different lyric sets that can go with them, and the lyric sets can have 5 or 6 different tunes that can go with them, and it can work both ways. So whereas like I'm sure you're familiar how Irish songs will use the same tune for different songs, and that's a pretty common folk song thing across.
Hmm.
But in Breton music, they also have like sets of words, like lyric sets that can play with multiple different tunes. And I've Been to Hell is one of those that shows up at several different things, and it's a little snatch. The I've Been to Hell is a like a 7 or 8 line little lyric snatch that can play into different songs.
All right, this is kind of wild. This is getting wilder by the minute. I'm barely thinking about stickers for my comic book, and you're thinking about soundtracks already.
Well, I'm not thinking about it. That's where I got the idea from.
Oh, okay.
I'm friends. I'm online friends with a pair of Breton musicians that I ran across.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
They'll do essays. They'll talk about the traditions in Breton music, which Brittany is the Celtic region of old France, what was called Armorica during the Arthurian times, right?
Dude, I can't get enough of that stuff, man. I mean,
So
every documentary I can get my hands on while I'm
yeah,
working, you know.
yeah. So I'm a huge fan of the Celtic nations and their legends and everything else, and the music. And so I was in learning about this and absorbing these little tidbits of it. Um, the lyric round for "I've Been to Hell" was something that was one of the essays that Simone wrote about, and I was like, let me.
That's no, it's beautiful. Like I love that type of music. I mean, like all that stuff, it's really good and it's really hard to find. And that makes I've never really known a lot of the details about the structure of that stuff, but it makes a lot of sense how you can kind of listen to like whole albums full of that stuff, and it if you're into that, it really keeps you going, and it's
Well, yeah, and British Isles dance music, whether it's rural English, whether it's Irish, Scottish, Welsh, all of them designed to be played in sequence to specific kinds of dances, which is a tradition that was probably imported from South France,
that
actually.
makes so much sense now, man. That's so
So,
crazy.
and so like I also am a musician. I'm not a very good one, but I've had the good fortune to sit in, and I play Irish frame drum.
What, really?
Good fortune to sit in on some traditional music sessions with some really good musicians, and and it's a real kick to when those guys will jump from tune to tune like it's not even happening. And as a drummer, you just get taken along for a ride. So it's great.
The last really great thing that I kind of heard in person is down here in Texas. There's all these German names, and it's so weird. They have these Worcestershire festivals and stuff like that. And I live in a town called Pflugerville.
Mm-hmm.
It is so strange, but the last cool thing that I heard, like what you're describing, and it's probably way different because it's mostly German, I guess.
Yeah.
But I heard the nuttiest concert with bagpipes and what are those things called? You kind of pull them apart.
Accordion?
Accordions, yeah. And they were playing all this hip hop music and like rap music and different types of Metallica and all this other stuff at this Worcestershire festival and stuff like that. Man, I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah. Well, actually, in Scottsbluff, where I live, is a predominantly Russo-German community. I'm like one of like 6 like Welsh descended families that is
really,
town.
Dude. I think I got a good part of Welsh in my blood too, but I'm told anyways.
Yeah, well, I'm only 3rd generation off the boat, so my great grandfather immigrated from Wales when he was 4 in 1872, and then my grandfather was born in 1905. So we're actually very recent immigrants on my dad's side. So I know exactly how much Welsh I have.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So my grandfather was the 1st generation born here.
But I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get in on one of those Groupons. Next time those DNA testing places do bulk discounts, I'm like, hey, if anybody's doing that, I'll get in on that. I'll swab. I want to know. I'm curious.
Well, see, and here's the thing about that is really interesting for me. Well, it's interesting scientifically, I think, is that like, it could tell you where your specific components came from, but like because of the way DNA works, you don't necessarily have the same markers as your brother, right? So, because you can express different levels of DNA from different parts of the trip, right?
Really? What?
So, yeah,
dude, I'm learning all about some of that stuff, like haplogroups and all this other crazy stuff. I'm just playing around with.
So like I know, like I said, I know how Welsh my family is, right? Because we have very firm records, right? We know the name of the ship they came over. We know all this kind of stuff, right? So I mean, it's not even that's not much of a mystery now. When you get more than 4 or 5 generations into Wales, and there's some missing records and that kind of thing. But with that, it's I could very well express mostly Swedish DNA from my mom's side, right? My mom's side's is Swedish, Irish, and English, right? So you never know what actually gets put together as being dominant. When you get together, because we're such a mix, and even Matt, I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Krotz, right? He's does the Kyrie comic that's getting ready to ship out, and
maybe. I mean, I see a lot of stuff in passing. I'd recognize work and stuff like that before I'd recognize any name.
I'm sure you've seen his stuff around.
Probably, yeah.
But one of the things with it is that he just posted today. They did a genetic essay on a bunch of remains that they found of British soldiers that had, and the number of them that have genetic origins in the Middle East. They found these like 5th century like burial grounds, and the number of these soldiers that came from the Mediterranean region was a percentage, and I can't remember what it was because I only looked at I reshared the link so I can look up the article later. It's one of those things where like we human beings have been traveling around this ball so much, and that we're way more connected than 18th, 19th century romanticists wanted us to believe.
Dude, I totally believe that. Like, I'm completely consumed with that right now. I can't get enough of it. Like, how many civilizations are underwater right now? It just blows my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, the things that were accomplished. You know, whether or not you believe, in the young Earth or the ancient Earth theories and stuff like that. I'm blown away at the structures and all the other and DNA and stuff like that. How wild it is. And
Well,
I've been getting into a lot of the DNA and the carbon and radiometric dating and stuff like that, and how nutty that is, and how many assumptions have to be made just to. But it's just so crazy. Anyways, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a story that you're going to find fascinating. It's not my story. It's a story that I ended up accidentally helping somebody else discover their story. So I know a guy whose last name is Ancira, Ancira, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, "That's a crazy looking name." I said, "What kind of a name is it?" He said, "I don't know. My grandfather was Mexican. That's all I know." And I said, "Okay." So I look it up. Turns out the name has one origin, right?
Yeah.
And it used to be Perez de Ancira, right? Yeah. Perez de Anciras were a group of Spanish Jews that the Perez family, right? Perez from the Perez or Perez, the Hebrew word for divided, right?
Yeah.
So they were a Jewish Spanish family that left Spain in 1492 after the whole Ferdinand and Isabella thing. Rather than convert to Catholicism, they went to Turkey to live under the Sultanate in Turkey because they didn't want to become Christians, and they could at least pay the jizya and be able to stay Jews in Turkey. And they moved to Ankara, the ancient capital of Galatia, which today is the capital of Turkey, is Ankara. So the Perez de Ankaras, they were the Perezes of Ankara, right? But they ended up disliking living in Turkey as well, and after a couple generations, emigrated to Mexico, right? To get away from the Turks.
Oh, yeah.
So they could go be Jews in the New World, right?
Really?
Around in the 1500s.
All right, I'm following you, yeah.
Okay? In Mexico, the family ended up, I think most of the family ended up actually converting to Catholicism over the time and dropping the Perez part of their name and simply became Anciras, because Ancira is closer to Spanish than Ankara, right? That hard to soft C mutation. And so the Ancira family traces its origins through Turkey, through Spain, back to Israel.
What? What? Oh, whoa! I got you.
So I said, dude, you're not going to believe this, but I just found out you're at least a little Jewish.
Oh, dude! Like
just based on your name. And he's like, tell me the story. So I laid it out to him, like I laid it out to you, and he said, that's amazing.
Dude, you have no idea what you just told me, because I've been listening to a lot of documentaries and stuff like that, and people are all like, my wife, she's all her family lives in Mexico right now, and when I say 20-hour drive, when I was talking to you earlier that I got coming up, like that's where I'm going. I'm going to Mexico. And
Tim said something about you going to the desert, so I assume
it's a crazy tale, but a number of the documentaries that are coming up in my playlists and stuff like that are about DNA and names and stuff like that, and a lot of Hebrew writings and DNA have been found up by the Great Lakes area, and but it's so crazy because the Mayans and everything South America and a lot of when I first met my wife, she was like, yeah, there's a lot of Chinese blood in me, and I was like, how's that? I never even imagined that, but it is so absurd how much Asian and Chinese DNA is found in all of in the entirety of like almost South America and the Mayan and all those groups down there. I had no idea as far as like the current DNA testings, what they're capable of these days. That's what
Yeah.
they're finding. It's
Well, I mean,
crazy.
and a big part of that is that it's pretty firm science that the Native American peoples were largely of that same Asiatic stock, right?
Hmm.
Through the land bridge or whatever it is from Russia to Alaska.
Yeah, that's the most popular theory right now. Yeah.
I mean, it's more likely than taking boats across the whole Pacific, but in either any way it happened. Um,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I just saw a documentary that said they just found an absurd amount of Australasian DNA in a number of the peoples of Brazil. They're like, bro, they just boated clean over there. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because that would have been ridiculous to have traveled.
Well,
I mean,
I
maybe they
mean,
did that too. Maybe they did the land bridge also. Who knows? But
yeah.
it's just it's so crazy what's
Well, and one
coming
of the
out.
things you're looking at, I think, with some of that too, is because we know that how these people split off. It wouldn't even be unimaginable to see a parallel, division happening after the move, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If they did come across the land bridge and still, having the same kind of, because they started in the same place,
Yeah.
because regardless of people's opinions on the origin of everything, it's not really questionable that all races sprang from a single master race,
There.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's that's. I mean, we have a mitochondrial. We know the Y chromosome atom, and that there is one, and we know that there's a mitochondrial Eve. So it's. I mean that everything came from a single people group isn't really questioned. It's just when they split that's really up for debate.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is very, very all over the place debated.
Oh yeah, very hotly debated.
It's so crazy right now, man. I mean, it just I just according to science, bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly, and we're very close ancestors to bananas. So,
Yeah.
hey, Carltoons, man, I'm sorry, I'm like hogging the show right now.
Oh, no problem.
Are you working over there?
Yeah, a little.
Top
Yeah, Carl.
secret.
Carl often will just draw when I have had him on, and so I've got to like grab the rhetorical pry bar to get him to join in the conversation. So
I'm a very quiet person usually.
Are you guys all? I mean, are you in the States?
Yes. Yes,
Nice. Gotcha, gotcha. Say no more. I use my deductive skills of accent acknowledge to figure that out to make that guess. Hey, so are you guys working on anything together, or what's your plans?
What's my plans?
Yeah.
Currently, I'm working on a web comic called Holgrave. You can find it on Tapas
Oh, I like the
or
name.
Tapastic.
That's another
you
thing
should.
too, is like you guys,
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
there's good names like you guys are discussing so far, and I think that was one of the big focuses of our book for a good part of it. It was just like there's a lot of crappy names of books out there, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a number of names that I've kept around since my single digit years, you know what I'm saying, in my childhood and stuff like that. And some of it, I've grown out of here and there, and a lot of it I've kept, it's kind of transitioned from this to that over the years. But I think one of the biggest focuses of what I wanted to do with our book was come up with a cool, simple name with a cool, simple logo design, and uh, I it didn't really start out like this. What Punchline is. Well, I guess that's not what I had in mind whenever. And what I mean by that is like the world building that we're trying to do in Punchline right now too is it's getting way bigger than I ever thought it would initially. But I'm welcoming it, and I'm very excited to like. I really don't want to restrict our environment too much at all. I want to cross over with whatever I want to cross over with, and I don't want to say that it's like an ultimate version of the Ninja Turtles parody of this or that. But I wanted to, you don't want to have an immortal, impossible to beat character, but I wanted a powerful character so we'd have options, to go to go places and do certain things, because hearing you talk about aliens and space and just lots of other stuff, all that stuff interests me, and whether or not she wanders too far off planet, if at all, I wanted to have options, and so I think this character is wide open too, and just like I hear you talk about your characters, like it can't go fast enough, but at the same time, day jobs and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So definitely. Well, let me actually, while we're talking about this, I am going to go ahead and share. I've got that page I was telling you about. This is the first appearance of Demon Priest, where we drew Demon Priest just as a gag, as a background gag. We ended up using it, and one of the things that was one of our philosophies in no. One of our things that was a philosophy in the
Oh, here we go.
story is that there are no bad characters, right?
I like how he's holding him up by his hair. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, this is Tattoo, and this is the character called Whale Shark, and we created him to be killed in the previous page. But this down here is Demon Priest.
Whale Shark. That's awesome.
So,
which guy? Oh, I got you. I see him. Yeah.
So, and Tattoo is let me see if I can't get a bigger pointer. So Tattoo here is a character who, when he kills somebody, his there's some sort of magic that creates a tattoo on him, representative of the person he's killed.
That's crazy.
He's been killing people so long they just stuck him in villain school to contain him, right? And that's part of that whole story. But this is Demon Priest and his whole thing. And another character that we've used several times.
Got horns. That's awesome.
Yep, he's got horns and he's got the little
flavor saver. Is that what I see down there?
Yeah, it's a little soul patch.
Oh, that's what it is. There you go.
So, and then of course we have the Postinator down here as well.
Wait a minute, we're talking about food. We can't talk about food this early in the show because I'm gonna get hungry.
Well, I'm sorry, but he generates attacking lasagna noodles.
What?
Out of the air in front of his hands. I can't change that. That's canon now. You see.
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous. It's ridiculous.
Dang, no, yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, and so that was 2006. That was Chris and me just working at it, and we weren't great. Still
are these original drawings? Or you guys are digital? You guys working?
These are actually pen and ink.
Oh crap! Hey, you're like me, bro. I can't.
But the lettering is digital and everything, but and the black fills were, but we were we still use a lot of pen and ink stuff. In fact, right now, actually, the story most current story that we're doing right now is called Panic at the Ren Fair, and the premise is that Chad, the hero student, has been sent to a Renaissance fair to compete for bonus points toward a superhero apprenticeship after he graduates. To be a sidekick, and that story will be told someday too. But in Panic at the Ren Fair, one of the things that's going on, with our method, is that Rolf, our pencil artist, he drew a bunch of the pages, and we did it kind of Marvel style. When we put it together, he really wanted to draw, and I didn't have time to full script it. My day job was weighing on me, so I just did page by page outlines and no dialogue except for a couple of keynotes, and just sent it over to him. Then he's like, awesome, and just drew a bunch of stuff. And because he just really wanted to draw, I was like, okay. I got it back, and I'm going through and I'm dialoguing it, and I'm realizing that in my rush, I missed a character moment here that we're gonna need in Act 3, and I missed, or that I didn't put in my notes something that I meant to, or didn't explain it well enough. So we're having to go through and cut it apart and piece it back together. And so it's been a big production. There's a lot of production that went on with it, but it's also been a lot of fun. So
Yeah, we're hoping to one day get. I mean, because are your pages just strictly black and white? Because one of the costs that we have right now is I can't color, or I don't have the time to do it. Basically, so that's one of the big costs that we have right now, is paying a colorist to do our book. And not to throw out a full accounting of everything, but basically that's one of the only expenses. Bill letters, and I mess around with a lot of the cover logos and text and all that other stuff, and get those prepped and ready to go. But we have to pay a colorist right now, and we're hoping to one day make enough on the books where we can at least pay the colorists, so we can, break even. Because we're doing this. The company that we're published through, Antarctic Press, has been great so far. Like, I couldn't be happier with them, because you talk about rejection letters and stuff like that. I don't want to have a rejection off, but we got rejected by quite a few people, and Antarctic Press really took a chance on us, and they have been stellar so far. And so they've been paying me in comp copies, and it's been awesome so far. And Bill's put up so much money for colorists and other expenses on this book. I mean, he's the one that showed up at Antarctic Press's office and threw the book down on the table, and got us the deal that we got right now. So, I mean,
that's crazy.
Oh, crap. Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah.
This is one of our current stories. I'm doing the coloring on it, and I'm going to jump over to it so I can show off some of the stuff on it. So one of the things we had with it is, this is one of those pages that needed some more detail, because with this, there are 4 different hero schools that are all competing at these different events, and
Oh, that's cool.
3 of them are my creation, and well, actually 2 of them are my creation. One of them we had another writer who came in and married his characters into our universe a while back ago, and so we're using some of his. And then there's another web comic from way back in the day called Broccoli Top, which is this hilarious. It was an aborted process where he never finished what he wanted because he got kind of burnt out. But he had this great idea about a high school that was a pastiche of anime and manga tropes. And
that's cool.
And just the world. And I ran into it a few years ago, just kind of digging through webcomic archives, because that's something I do sometimes. And it was just so much. I was like, this is hilarious. I love these concepts. Can I borrow them for a story, because it will fit in really well? And the guy's like, people are still reading that? That's amazing. Please. And so this is his character, Broccoli Top, Jay Burst.
The green-haired kid. I thought you were
guy
talking about like a real, like, Carrot Top's anti-matter nemesis.
He's actually a green-haired character, but he's only called Jay Burst in comic.
That's actually even. And
so then
more hilarious.
This is and that's it. So this is Speed Stress, who's from one of the other characters that I kind of co-developed with that other writer. This is Avian, who's one of Chris and mine from back in the day. And this is I can't remember this character's name right now. I'm skipping it. He's one of the other ones from Broccoli Top. And then this is our villain, Chuck Svengali. This story. So anyway, the point though, I'll bring this up here, is like we are doing colors right now. I'm doing the coloring.
Yes.
On it, and I'm really enjoying it, but it is very labor intensive. So I totally know what you mean. Even though we're doing mostly flat color.
Holy crap! I'm just making selections for colors.
Yeah. Well,
man.
and like
I don't know how you're doing it. It is hard.
Part of what I do is I come up with the colors I want for the individual characters, and then I go back over previous pages and use those as color sheets.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every page. I just have to go back over it. But it still takes a while. So anyway, the reason I bring this up is Rolf's original pencils and most of his inks are like this top section and this bottom section, this middle section with the caber toss there. My son polyester came in because we needed something there, and Rolf wasn't available to fill it. And so Tolly came in and was able to do a pretty good aping of Rolf's style and fill in the gap there, so we have more of the characters that are showcasing through these montages.
The gamer toss. That's
Yep.
awesome, dude. So you're saying your boy inked that?
Yeah, he penciled and inked this middle section.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like the layout, like the paneling and the bows. Like that's I really like the big panel in the middle, just the whole page layout, that's well done. That's
Yeah, it's real labor of love on there. And I tell you what, man, I cannot even express to you like how cool it is to be able to share that with my boy.
Oh yeah, dude.
So it's a whole different thing. This page here, this is one that's totally Tolly essence, right?
That's awesome.
All of it's his, and it's based on our character designs. This is Chad in Renaissance garb. This cat in the back, this is Buckskin Boone, the cowboy, who is our love letter to living in the rural West. Everything we love and everything we hate about the Wild Nebraska area is Buckskin Boone.
That's a cool name.
This character here, this is Ivor Griffith, the Changeling, and he is a fact. He's got a whole tragic story, but yeah, he's kind of our he's the Gandalf of this story. He's just a kid, but he keeps noticing something isn't right, and so he's going to be the MacGuffin or not MacGuffin, but the thing that like saves the day at the end of the story. So.
Dang, that's freaking nutty, man. That's a lot of stuff there. I honestly, now looking at your page, I don't know what I dread more, like trying to color something or flat something or letter something.
Yeah.
Like it whittles at my soul.
Yeah, well, the hardest thing for lettering, there's two big things that are tough for lettering. One is knowing you have to sacrifice something in the background, right? And like that was a real challenge with this page, was figuring out how I wanted to lay it out, because Tolly just to entertain himself, right? The foreground was all that the script called for, right? The characters in the foreground, because I needed to have page time for them to introduce these several story ideas, to reflect on the nature of their characters, and to set up the next page, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I needed for the front. But Tolly, to entertain himself, right? After doing this whole backstory with Buckskin Boone being chased down by these chickens, and then being saved by a light construct of a Charmander.
I didn't want to say it. I don't know how demonetization works. I don't.
Yeah, well, I don't have enough.
Charizard.
I don't have enough of an audience to be monetized, so don't worry about it. But yeah.
Oh, me neither. Yeah.
Yeah. So
those mother cluckers, though. Look at it, like, yeah, I see what's going on there.
So, but yeah, and this is a character I created called the White Witch, and she has light manipulation magic.
Ooh.
And so she creates this construct of Charmander to hunt down the chickens to save Boone, right? So that whole little side note, that little story, that was just Tolly's creation, his invention. And he was like, it doesn't matter, Dad, you can letter over it if you want. And I was like, no. I said, this has to be there. It's perfect.
Yeah, so he just did an entire backstory all by himself.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's a crazy kid. I love him.
No, that's kind of cool. So what's the name of this?
This is Forces of Good and Evil.
Dude, do you already have a logo and all that other stuff?
Yeah, well, it's I'll jump to the page here, actually.
Because I'm just saying, like, that, man, coming up with a good name, cool characters, cool looking logo.
Our logo probably can use a little work.
And you're saying this is a webcomic already? This is like already out there.
Oh yeah. Like the color pages I'm showing right now are right now they're exclusive on our Patreon, which has 2 patrons.
Oh crap! I need to get some patrons. Well, you're 2 ahead of me.
Yeah. But they're and that they're exclusive on Patreon right now until we finish that story, and then it's going to go up, or until we run out of the backlog stories that we're posting on the main website.
Yeah, I just was asking because we were at a convention not too long ago, and Bill was approached the Webtoons people, and I think he's trying to get Punchline on Webtoons. I think. He's been working a lot trying to get it up on Comixology and a lot of the other, is it Drive Through Comics? All that other stuff, the digital mediums and stuff like that.
So here, that's not what I want. So, there.
And this is the story that's titled "Panic at the Ren Fair."
Yeah.
Ren Fair.
Yep. Panic at the Ren.
Love me some Rhys. Oh no, he's gone. How long has this show been running? I think he clicked. I think he exodused himself. He jettisoned himself into the ether.
Oh.
All right, buddy.
When that happens.
Is this he's back.
Curses.
Oh.
Nice move. Oh wait. was it that big
That
shiny
sorta happens.
X? Did you just have to click yourself?
See, I was trying to change the screen share settings so I could share the forces page to you.
It wasn't meant to be, brother. It's all good.
Oh man, it was really embarrassing. Oh well.
I
Recorded for posterity.
I think I X'd myself out of a couple of different streams last week, multiple times too, because StreamYard, I like StreamYard because I can use StreamYard on Firefox and some of the other ones, but like Google Hangouts really is very fussy. It's super fussy, and it only likes the Internet Explorer, I think, or Chrome or something like that. But yeah, I have to open a whole nother browsers to get all that other stuff. But my ratio of being able to come back in before somebody notices me is pretty high. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Okay. That's stupid. That's not going to work.
I got to get on some StreamYard. I got a live stream. I've never thrown up a live stream yet.
I started them just to have something to do while I was coloring. And then our former co-host Matt McGibson and I were talking about, because he came up with this crazy name for the Mattriarchy when we met, and I was like, "That's an amazing name. We have to make something happen of." And he's like, "We should do a live stream show." And I said, "Okay, that's cool. I can work on art while we're doing it." And then it ended up becoming an interview show, and I can't color and talk. I'm just not capable of that.
It's pretty genius. It's pretty.
I can relate to that.
So what ends up happening is that I ended up just talking and killing time and meeting cool people and having fun conversations, but not really being productive at all. And so that's my journey right there.
Yeah, like I'd like to be more productive and juggle like a live stream debate more, but it's an acquired, skill. But to be able, I need to throw something up. But man, I'm really discouraged because the Mattriarchy is a stellar name, and there's nothing that's going to be better than that.
Well, the ticket, and you get, like I said, thank Matt McGibson for that. That's his thing. So
all Matt's
he's a clever
represent.
He's a clever fellow.
He is a clever fellow. He's been through some stuff, and so he had to step away from the show for a while. And I appreciate the things going on and everything, but I miss having him here. He has a crazy awesome energy, and it's really a shame that we don't have him on. And like the great thing about it is like he's got a brain that just comes up with great idea topics. So if I'm lagging or if I'm trying to get a screen share working for somebody, he's just like fills in the gap. So it made a real rocket fire thing there.
Yeah.
So right here on the
I
screen right
am
now.
nowhere near as good a co-host as he is.
Dude, I like how the guys are leaning up against the crest. Is that what it is?
Yep. So here's the thing is the schools are boarding schools. So and this is actually everything on the logo. This is mine, my art on it. I'm something of an amateur herald, so I wanted to keep some of the form for the design to keep kind of that boarding school kind of feel.
Oh yeah.
Thing about it is like so. The schools are in the town that Chad and Greg happen to live, and they've been there their whole life, and they never knew, right? And that's part of the joke of it. So they don't live at the school, but some of the students do live at the school. And so I wanted to have kind of that prep school feel be cut to intimate that.
Oh yeah.
And these characters, the villain, generic villain, and then you have the J-Man, who is the hero. And that's actually an inside joke because my wife designed this costume for a gag comic that she did at Filler back in 2006.
Oh wait.
My wife's an artist as well.
Oh my goodness.
She and I are working on another property that's not connected to our universe at all.
Oh gosh.
And that's that'll be we'll probably be announcing that late 2020 and trying to do something with it about that. But yeah, I have lots of ideas.
Thanks, man.
Now this cover, this is the story that's coming out tomorrow, and I'll probably try to upload it tonight.
Oh snap! For the Patreon or
this will be on the main website.
Oh crap! Yeah.
Right, so everybody can go and look at this. This cover was one of the first pieces of art that Rolf did for us. And like I said, one of the things sometimes that he's done is he's sold like paintings of like the buildings around Scotts Bluff. So he said, I've always wanted to make comics. I hear you make comics. What can I do? And he brought me his portfolio. And I said, I'm looking for a cover for a story where a theater is a place. Could you design a theater in the style that kind of matches our stuff and kind of matches your stuff? And we'll use that as a cover, because I've got this idea for like an edgeless cover, right?
Oh yeah.
And because I always loved that when they did those events in the 90s. Not to go on too much about 90s comics or whatever, but some of the cover events DC had were just awesome, where they were just the edge covers.
Hey, so do you guys ever like go to conventions and set up and pitch stuff and?
Oh yeah, we
printed
have
versions of this stuff.
We've usually done small cons.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's all me.
And because of the entry on them, and the other side of it is that like so much of our stuff is the web stuff, and one of the things that we decided way back in the day is that if it's been free, we want it to stay free, right? Because one of the things we just get really sick of the big companies that just try to wheedle every little penny out of the fans by printing a billion versions of the story with one little thing different or something, like where if you want to get all the story, you have to buy every version of it, and I just hated that. So so with Forces, if it's been free, we want it to stay free. And so there's a couple of like our web novels that novellas that we've done that have ended up being unpublished for various reasons, that when they're illustrated, we'll sell illustrated versions, but we'll probably have just the text available for people to download if that's what they want to. No frills version.
No frills.
So you can still get the story, because if it's been free, it stays free. That's kind of like I said, that's kind of the idea.
Oh yeah, no, it's I make these little cards at shows, and I just sell a couple cards whenever I go to a show. If these cards always make my show a good show, because I just sell them for $1 each, and people either they just love the price point or they just love the material of the cards. I just basically sell cards of cats dressed up as superheroes, and they're just tiny little cards, and people love them. They love them, and then but I always get people coming up to me at the show like, bro, you need to raise your prices, like you're killing us, or you could be doing a lot better. And I'm just like, nah, I mean. And now with all the shows that I go to regularly, people come back to see what new cat superheroes are there, and I'm like, I can't say, oh, they're $2 now, or anything like that. But people are always like, bro, you got to get up there. I'm like, I can't. There's no way I can do it, and there's no way that I can do it now. After.
Yeah, inflation's a thing, though.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but so I think that's part of it. But yeah, so.
Dude, that's very cool. Like you said, you have one shop that sprang up in your town.
Yeah.
Like, do you have many shows that are nearby where you guys are?
Well,
at?
The Front Range from Cheyenne all the way down to to Colorado Springs has a pretty active nerd community. So there's Denver Comic-Con, which is the Denver Pop Culture Convention now, and then there's a bunch of little cons that are all through the range at various things. And
how far away are you guys from Utah?
We are about a day's drive from Utah.
Like 12-hour day or 24?
No, like a 8-hour day.
Oh crap! Well, that's pretty much a day. I was just curious.
It's clean. Well, maybe 6 if you don't stop too much, but it's clean across Wyoming. So
yeah, gotcha. I got approved. I've been meaning to check out that Salt Lake City Comic-Con. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear really good things about Salt Lake. But.
Yeah, it kind of over the last few years, and you saying that other convention kind of changed their name, and I was like, I wonder if because I heard that there was a lawsuit with that Salt Lake City Comic-Con with San Diego too, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know how that goes, but
yeah, San Diego is trying to become the Comic-Con, so
wacky. No, that's cool, man. I like, yeah. So you actually have, man. Do you still have the first printing of your first appearance of your characters?
We have the ones in print. We not the first printing. We've gone into second printings with because we have our trades. Not trades. We have 2 anthologies that we did.
Gotcha.
I want to say 2006, and then again in 2012.
Dang.
And what those are, they're 7. They're just Chris and I are the only writers on them. But it was 7 stories in each book that are just take place at different snapshots of our universe. So a couple of Golden Age stories, some Silver Age stories. Our second anthology has a Western that's in there. That the Forgotten Legend of Fremont City, and it talks about because our fictional cities, we've got 5 main fictional cities, and they have their own alternate history that's behind them, and we have a pretty deep dive with all this stuff, really. In fact, we have a large document that is the and by large I mean it's like 6 pages of our timeline. And I just recently rewrote it to include some new events because Rico, who does a little bit on the web and a little bit not, project called The Warehouse Fables from Vacation Land, which is about funny animals in prison.
What? No.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out. I'll try to share a link to it.
Prison farmyard antics.
Yes, yeah, but it's classic funny animals kind of style, like mid-century kind of stuff, but it's all like this pseudo or not pseudo. It's funny, but it's also serious about the experience of people in prison.
Dude, I don't know how you process all this stuff. Like,
well, and one of the things that's his idea. I mean, that's totally his. But he's from our town, or used to be until very recently. And about a year ago, about a year and a quarter ago, he's like, let's work together on a project, and that's when we started working on the urban mystery I was talking about. And then about a year and 9 months ago, he says, I think I've been thinking about this, and I really want to take the warehouse and put it under the Ideal Comics banner, and there's no reason that these events can't happen in your universe. It's just that they're not. And I said, well, I would agree, except they're not animals in our universe, the comic. And he's like, so if you're reading a warehouse comic, they're animals, but if you've ever met anybody else from the universe, they're just people. He's like, that's exactly what I want. So it's just like if you saw Chad, he doesn't necessarily look like the same guy in a different format.
Oh yeah. See what you're saying.
Because the style of the story dictates the design of the characters.
Dude.
So that we did that, and so that's one of the things we're going to have up. Is we're going to have PDF versions of the warehouse comics. They're going to be on the web store when we get that done, and yeah. So that's all. I mean, I have a real passion for this universe. So it's kind of one of those things where every time I meet somebody, I'm like, could we have a convergence? Is there a way to have a crossover?
Oh, dude, it's comics, man. There's
I think that thing's awesome.
There's no tale that's off limits, man.
Well, that's one thing when Holgrave, I'm gonna brag on Carl a little bit. He's got just such an awesome style, and Holgrave is the very story of it is.
I like the name too a lot.
Oh man, it's great. So it's like this like steampunk airship.
Oh crap!
Airplanes and pirates, and it's amazing. It's great. It's great stuff. And his visual style. It's like this like early Astro Boy meets like the LZ Seeger Popeye style.
What?
And yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And so like in our universe, when I first saw it, we don't have like anything in the 20s happening really, right? It isn't a period I've written about yet. And I saw this airship stuff and I was like, do we have air pirates in our 20s? But Carl has a whole alternate universe, alternate history of his own that he's folding in the background of Holgrave that I didn't know. And I had him on the show once to talk about Holgrave, and he starts talking about little seeds, and I'm like, "There's no way that fits with our history." The character, I mean, it's just not
the 20s.
Yeah. Even then, it would, because his history is so like involved, and it goes way back to, I'm not even sure how far back, but
it goes back like it's sort of like an alternate history, but not like, it has a lot of elements of alternate history, but think of it like an alternate universe, basically. Like the changes go all the way back to like ancient times, basically.
Right. And that's one of the things, like, so our timeline, and like I said, I recently rewrote it to incorporate the warehouse stuff and to incorporate a couple of other elements. There's another webcomic called it used to be out there called Cortland. And my pal Matt Johnson from Omaha did that, and also its follow-up series Out at 5. And I was able to borrow Matt's main character Cortland from Cortland for one of our stories, because I thought it'd be a really good fit, and I'm a huge fan of Cortland. And Matt's like, "Oh, that'd be really cool," and so I borrowed his character, and we ended up finding that there's actually deciding that officially there's an intersection where our universes share common events.
Oh, crap.
Even if they're not fully like incorporated in the same way that the warehouse is, there are some parts of the events that are the same. So all of the events from the webcomic Cortland are canon within our universe, but not necessarily all of the events in Out at 5. Right. So that's how that works out. But so with this, I rewrote our timeline. It goes back to the dawn of time, right?
That's awesome.
And like,
why not?
There's I'm not going to spill the beans, but there's cosmological elements to our universe that are part of the reason that that will come into play when we talk about if I ever get around to telling the story of the alien invasion and how happened.
I'm totally about it. I'm about
that. So with Carl, his stuff, like, it's so good that to try to fit it into the Ideal Comics box would take away from what Holgrave is. It really would.
Mm.
And I think vice versa, because it's just his ideas are so with how what the underlying story of Holgrave is so distinct. I want to say,
yeah.
It needs to have its own elbow room and own room to breathe. And I'm not gonna take that away from him. So
I think a good way to explain it is this is a weird thing to say I took inspiration from for like forming this idea for Holgrave's.
Oh yeah.
Well, because it's not just Holgrave. I do plan on doing more works within this universe, but this entire universe that I sort of like created was things like Middle Earth from Lord of the Rings or Narnia.
Dude.
You know, they're not really real worlds. They're sort of like I believe the literary term is secondary worlds, where there's these entirely fictional universes with their own like history and lore and cosmology and religions and stuff. And I thought, we have a lot of things that are like set in like medieval fantasy stuff. We have a lot of European themed ones, but we don't have any kind of secondary world, to my knowledge, that's like Americana themed. So I'm like,
Hey,
so I went with it.
Yeah, it's so difficult to come up with like fresh, take a fresh take on something, or just something, original altogether. Like, I think that's one of the things I was trying to mess around with Punchline. So you said universal type astrological and type influences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the name of my character, or one of the lead characters in the Punchline book, is called Versima, and we're kind of still developing her powers, but I wanted to take the I just wanted to make new names, you know what I'm saying? And I Google everything I do now, and Versima I don't think is I didn't find anything out there, but I wanted to take the word universe, and basically she kind of absorbs the universal friction of the surrounding galaxies and planets and stuff like that, and from the radiation, just all the concepts of dark energy and all this other stuff. Like, she can harness that, and kind of absorb it. And so I took the word universe, took the verse off of it, and just made Versima. And so, if that makes sense, we're going to try and develop some powers off of that still. So we're still trying to basically come up with that. But I love what y'all are describing. I'm just saying, y'all are working diligently to try and come up with something fresh and new. And that's not easy to do.
Well, I will brag a little bit here as far as there's nothing that we're working on together officially at the very minute, but look at the screen here. A couple weeks ago, Carl was on Twitter looking for something he's like, it's Cutie Saturday, give me some help with characters. So I showed the character design we had from Forces, and this is Titania, and she's the guidance counselor at the hero school that Chad goes to.
I love that design already.
And I recently kind of tweaked your design a little bit, but he sent me a pencil sketch, and this is actually digital inks and colors that I did, and I'm pretty proud with how these turned out.
Dude, like the transparency of the wings.
Yeah,
Very well done.
That's an easy. That's a simple thing. You just dial that transparency down. It's just white.
I mean, it looks sharp though. It looks cool. Yeah. I dig it. I might have to sketch that up right now if we got time just for fun. Where's mine?
Yeah, if you want to.
I mean, there's a couple of really good ideas already.
But yeah, so she's a retired superhero. Her story is that she's a retired hero. She was the sort of superhero partner of one of our heroes from one of our big urban areas called Urbania in South Carolina.
Nice.
And and he's the immigrant, and she and the immigrant were kind of a prime fighting team. But then she ended up having a kid and retiring and going into the education sphere.
What?
And
It's hilarious.
as a guidance counselor at Superhero High School, her daughter is a villain student named Jagged Princess.
What?
And I will pull up a design for Jagged Princess because
Oh my gosh, man! This is getting hilarious. Like
So, yeah.
it reminds me, like there's this book I got to work on a long time ago, and it was an Image title first, and it was called Gladstone's School for World Conquerors.
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I worked on it. There was the first 6 issues came out through Image Comics, and I took over after that, and it was mostly self-published after that. And then the other original, I just came in to fill in for a few, like 5 issues, and I think it just ended up being one trade. But after that, the other artist kind of came in and took over. But I like you're going way beyond with what you're describing to me already. Oh, that looks awesome.
So this is actually one of our partners, Barry, did this drawing. The design was by a gal named Meg McCune. And this is actually the second costume design, not the one we originally went with, which the original design was mine. But we decided to change it up. And this is Jagged Princess, and she's got, pretty generic superpowers. She's just, super strong and vulnerable and invulnerable. But she's also got, a significant amount of baggage. Because she's the whole single parent thing, and absentee father, and yeah.
Wow, you guys are really showing off a number of cool character designs already. I'm already getting all kinds of motivated from all the show and tell you've done already.
Now, this is one thing I'm really proud of. I don't know if you remember, they were doing on Twitter, like, draw your friends' original characters. This is Jagged Princess, is drawn by Dan Sakharov.
Oh, no, man, that's the kind of stuff that I'm totally out of the loop on, man. There's all these cool groups that do this stuff.
The thing is, you draw too much. That's
yeah, that's my.
You draw too much to draw all the time, man. That's the.
Like, I'm really making a go at it, Like it's been a crazy year, and like I'm just trying to maintain this momentum, this book that we were so lucky to get on shelves. Just I can't thank Antarctic Press enough for Bill, in all honesty, he showed up at one of their meetings, and it would not have happened probably. Who knows? We kind of submitted to him before that, but he showed up at one of their meetings and just held it up in front of their face, and he really made it happen that day. Just trying to take those good instances of luck and fortune and stuff, and try to add more fuel to it and keep it going. Just don't let up, because I think one of the things that I learned throughout in any of the work that I've ever put out there was, I've done big graphic novels here and there. I did a whole 180-page graphic novel for Image Comics, and it was a nice little hit on the market. But if you have a monthly title coming out, like, that's constant exposure, Like, we got a lot of good press from that one graphic novel, but it's that constant monthly exposure that I think I'm just trying to maintain and keep up with it, and it's really difficult, but got bills to pay. I don't know what the real estate market is like in Nebraska, but
well,
I got a good little house over here, but
houses are not that expensive, but our property taxes are.
Oh, dude, that's what I was about to say. My property taxes are murdering me right now.
It's pretty bad. The nice thing about it, though, is that our insurance, our other costs are pretty low. Gas doesn't cost as much here, or, other stuff like that. So, food, utilities costs aren't so bad, but
Dude, from when I bought this house, my monthly bill went up almost $400 a month for property taxes. Like,
Ooh, jeez. Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're that bad.
well,
I mean, I'm on.
it's
Part of it is we're on an escrow from our house loan, so we
yeah,
only
yeah.
see it at the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
So I
No,
don't.
I hear you.
I don't feel the pinch until they tell me whether or not I got to pay back in.
That's happened to me a couple times already. So I'm just like you.
So this
SOB.
on the screen right now is
That's a different character from the
this
other
is
one you just
the
showed me?
same one. This is Jagged
Oh, okay,
Princess,
yeah.
but this is the original drawing that Megan
Yeah.
made of her redesign that we used. And so
Dude. Oh.
yeah, that's the and that was the one there. So I
What
wanted to share that.
what kind of card is she messing around with? Like
Oh, that's a family photo.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like...
There's a picture of her and Titania is what that is.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if I can zoom in on that or
That's
not.
a freaking excellent design.
Yeah, I thought it's great. So, yeah, when we originally had set up the character, our original plan was to have Greg, our good guy Greg character, which we didn't name him because of that thing. Chad and Greg are actually named after two guys we worked with that were kind of sort of the personalities we wanted for these characters.
Yeah.
Except the real Chad is not really a bully. He's just gregarious and boisterous. He's a good guy, but he, sometimes was more brash than he needed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he wasn't demeaning at all, and our Chad begins demeaningly. But Greg was very much like Greg, like the real Greg. And so we wanted to set up for Greg to have kind of an Archie love triangle between Jagged Princess, who was fixated on him because he wasn't like the other villain students, and a hero student called Rapunzel, who has like she's got like a hair control powers.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have. Well, yeah, I should actually. Hang on a second. Maybe find.
I feel bad. I'm making you show me all this stuff, but if this,
I love talking about it
because I'm just getting all kinds of motivated right now for more drawing.
More drawings.
I need more drawing. I can't stop.
So here's the trick, man. See, if I get you excited about it, then maybe you'll tell everybody how awesome my webcomic is.
Dude, you gotta. I'll shoot it out immediately.
And then, and this is a friend. He's on Twitter, Brian Lusang, who did a bunch of art for us. Gave us this piece of Rapunzel.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Dang, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm working on coloring. He's got an awesome style. He's in both of our anthologies. We'll have one of his mini comics, web comics, that'll be available just on our website at some point.
Well, here's a question for you. I mean, me and Bill, like we're often trying to fill pages in our book with advertisements or stuff like that. If you have like a website or a web comic or something like that, like we often have extra pages to fill before the books go out. If you're ever looking for like a little advertisement in a Punchline book, maybe,
Yeah, that might be
sure
awesome.
I could bring it up to Bill, but I don't think that'd be an issue. Like, sometimes we're short on pages a month. We just go to print. We've gone to print a couple times, just missing a couple pages. We have pages to fill. Yeah. Besides the story pages and stuff like that. But yeah, dude.
So yeah, that'd be maybe that's the thought. That's the thought. So, but anyway, like I said, this was a love triangle between between Greg and Jagged Princess wanted Greg, and Greg wanted Rapunzel, and Rapunzel hates and Jagged hate each other, right? and not just like in a Betty and Veronica sort of way where they're frenemies, but they're actually like nemesis, right? So the arch nemesis thing, and they actually are official nemesis that they're forced to work together on their project for their senior year. That they're in the school setting, but they also just hate each other. And so we have actually while I'm talking about, we try to pull up. There's one of the stories that is not on. It's 2 stories down, so it'll probably be 3 weeks, I think.
Dang.
It's called Happy Birthday, All Your Friends Are Here. And it's about Jagged Princess's 16th birthday. And there is a panel in it that is just hilarious. Let me see if I can't find it here.
I just saw Einstein on the back of that picture.
Yep. She's a brainy chick. That's part of the shtick. There.
I like me some Einstein, but like I like me some Tesla.
Have you, speaking of Tesla, did you happen to check out
the Current Wars?
What?
You talking about? There's a new movie about Tesla and Edison called The Current Wars.
Oh no, I hadn't. I was going to talk about that Feast or Famine book that came out last year from a.
I did hear about it. I did see about that.
It was like an alternate take on the thing, and I didn't look at it at the time, but I'm interested to check out the because I think that's one of the ones they're doing as an 80-page giant.
Is it? I honestly.
I might do that because I'm a huge Alterna fan. I'm just.
Oh, that was Alterna. Because I'd heard so much about it. Edwin Boyette, probably. I think he talked about that more than anybody. I could be wrong. But I did hear a lot about it. But no, I haven't been to a comic book store in so long.
Oh, let's see here. Almost. Where is it? Sorry.
You're good, man. I'm taking in this character design. I'm gonna grab a new piece of paper.
So here is Greg talking to he's getting a piece of paper. He's gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's Greg talking to Rapunzel. Here's Rapunzel gets hit in the face with a and here's Jagged Princess, and then this is one of my favorite like layout panels that we did in this story. We just have this
perspective.
He's just grabbed all these weapons, knives. They're just up from the table.
Gosh, malicious, man.
And it's just on. This is a really fun story.
Yeah, it's a good angle. I like that. I'm all about breaking panel.
I love it when it works, when it's done, right. I think sometimes it's a temptation to do it just because to do it, but
yeah.
When it's done right, there's nothing like it, as far as effect, and so that's one of those things that so yeah, that's coming up here.
Is that a pizza slicer?
Yeah, pizza slicer. Yep.
I'm so hungry. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
So here, where are we?
I just ate the last pizza in my fridge too, so I'm kind of distressed about it.
Oh, that's hilarious. So the thing about, like I said, is one of these things where this is just Chris and mine, right? We're kind of, not necessarily the best artists, but it was just so much fun to get these stories out there, and hopefully people, as we're releasing them, I think people are reading them again, and it's fun to see how that play out. So.
Well, I don't know what your plans are for more fundraising, but like, let me know, man. Let me freaking I'll put it up and I'll tweet it. I need to mess around with some sketches for a lot of these character designs, man. I'm getting some salivating over here.
Yeah.
I love I could sit and sketch and pencil. I could just do it all day, every day.
Oh man. So here we go. I got to highlight, and then I'll quit showing you stuff here. But this is one of my favorite lines of dialogue on the list. Thanks for inviting me, man. This is the best party I've been into for a long time.
I like his look too, man. Yeah, and the expressions on the faces are always like entertaining to me. That's one of the things I focus on too, is trying to get good hands, good feet when necessary, and expressions on faces. But I'm not. Yeah,
like I said, we've been doing this since 2006. Some life changes happen. Chris went to finish his master's degree, and he got married, and I've had a couple different jobs, and my kids went from being. So my oldest was born in 2001, and
Dang.
my second was born in '03, and we started publishing Forces in 2006. So my kids have grown up with this story. It's been part of their life as long as they can remember, which is also why having Tolly help out with it has just been a crazy cool thing.
Dude, so a number you talked about a number of the titles of your books, but like, and you might have mentioned it already, but I might have missed it. Is there a name for the label that you guys are
Oh yeah, Ideal Comics.
Oh, okay. Sorry if I missed that earlier, but yeah, dude, I dig it. Yeah, I've always
So
wondered what I would do if I were to try to name a label, man. There's just how do you even? Because I mean, there's names of books and stuff like that, and in fact, I have one book that I never really thought I'd do something by myself ever. You know,
mhm.
thought I'd always collaborate with somebody or just do somebody else's stories, and I was perfectly cool with that. And I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I only have one idea um, that I have that I would ever consider doing by myself. Because while myself and Bill we co-created Punchline, and he's pretty much told me like, just go design a character, make up the powers, do this and that, and he'll tell me on a number of pages, just freaking draw it out. Action wise, we'll go in and fill in later. So I mean, this is like I've done a lot of creating here, but one other thing that if I ever got a chance, I would. It's basically me ripping off Nightcrawler's powers and having this character that can teleport. And instead of like a purple cloud like Nightcrawler has, I was thinking about making it a light pink cloud and maybe giving it to a girl, but not making it ridiculous. But even though it kind of sounds ridiculous, but I guess that's where I get hung up a little bit. Is um, I would I would give her a pink cloud for her teleportation, and I would call the name of I would name the book Blush. And if I could come up with a cool logo for that, maybe one of these days, but I don't know. I coming up with a whole label name, man. That's
So the way we came up with it, because we decided, like I said, we decided to self-publish. We decided this is what we're going to do, and the way we came up with it was um, that we were sitting around discussing how we wanted to build our universe, what kind of thing we thought it needed to have in it, right?
that's a really good cover.
That this cover, this was my oldest boy Donovan, who is Taliesin, I think, is a virtuoso in drawing, and part of that's because he draws always.
Is that watercolors or something? Or is that...
This is acrylic.
Oh crap!
The only thing that isn't, I added some shadow effects, and I put a wood grain floor in to give it some more. It's just a pattern fill
Yeah.
to give it some depth to it. Because he had used like a pink or something that didn't quite jive with everything, and so I scanned in his original painting, and just did a little couple digital edits to it to give it a little more texture, more depth to it. And this was a jam cover with my oldest boy Donovan, and I just loved his. He just did this. He was just looking for something to do one day, and I said, "I'm looking for a cover for this story for our webcomic," because I went through and we're adding covers to all of the stories to give them some division. Um, and as you,
yeah.
if somebody goes through and reads through the archives, they can feel where the breaks are more evenly. And he just had this idea and tweaked the character designs to this real. I'm afraid of sounding insulting when I say it, but it's kind of a Grandma Moses feel to it. I don't know how you feel about Grandma Moses. Like, some people like really disdain her stuff, but I think it has a real place, right?
Yeah.
I think it really does.
I just get really moved for like really cool colors, because I think that's one of the things that growing up, I never really explored or had access to, like, because I grew up way, way out in the country. And if I could get my hands on like, and I was born in '80, so I'm like 39 years old right now. And I remember times way before the internet and magazines. Like if you could get your hands on like any kind of comic books in the town that I was in. And or I remember there was if I could get my hands on like a little video game pamphlet of like a Mario game or a Zelda game or a Street Fighter game back when I was growing up, I would just draw out of that for months. I would just try and like recreate the things. I mean, my school, I graduated with like 65 in my class, and I know there's lots of smaller schools, but I just whenever I see colors like that, just bringing it back, I get really excited about stuff like that because I never painted and never I can't hardly digital color. I don't have like a stylus or a pad or of any kind. Like I'm just uh, brushing around with a mouse on certain things every now and then, just playing around in Photoshop.
Well, I tell you what, man, I have my buddy Barry gave me his old tablet a few years back, and
Dude,
because he just had a little USB tablet that he wasn't using anymore because he had upgraded to a Bamboo.
it was just one of those ones where you just draw on the tablet, but you see it on the screen, or was
Exactly.
it like a? Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
I've got a, and I still have another one of those too, but that changes coloring game like even that so much. It's ridiculous. And then last Christmas he bought me another one that was larger and it's got the buttons on it. It's an X Pen brand, and it still attaches through a USB cable, and you have that interface with it, but it changes the game so much digitally. I mean, like this one's pressure sensitive and all kinds of stuff. It's way nice.
Don't tell me that because I get obsessed about things. Like I went on a whole like 2 year like obsession of backpacks one time. Like I just got really it's just I get obsessed about things. Like I need something to kind of obsess about and to go research and go get nuts with and stuff like that. So I get kind of silly about it at times. But yeah, like I'll if we continue this conversation, I'm gonna go start futilely looking at tablet after tablet, just debating on what I should do.
Yeah, my wife did pick up she's wanting to. We got an iPad.
Oh yeah, dude.
They had a refurbished one at Walmart for not too bad, expensive, and she's been doing Procreate, and that's what she's working on with the project she's working on is in Procreate.
Yeah, buddy, I was at a convention just like 3 weeks ago, and this guy next to me was like, dude, yeah, you never mess with that stuff? Like, check out this. He pulled out a huge iPad Pro and just started messing around with Procreate brushes and showing me. He's like, here, touch it. And I was like, what? I was like, it's so strange right now.
Gotta touch it.
He's like, yes. He's like,
that's amazing. So, but yeah, okay. From the chat, the metal says, I think Buckskin Boone is my favorite character from Forces so far.
Good name. It's a dang good name.
I might draw him for fun when I find the time. I would love that. Boone is one of my favorite characters. In fact, we are deciding right now the ash can that's going to be shipped along with Vox Populi issue 1, because some of them are going to contributed to the ashcan level, is one of there's 2 ones that we are debating on. Pencils by Rolf, inks by Barry are on both those projects. One is Chad's story from Forces, and another one is a Buckskin Boone story, and both of them are in the time after they leave high school. So there will be available for purchase in the next year. It's exclusive first run. Whichever one we pick is going to be exclusive first run to those backers for Vox Populi. But then it'll be available for sale as an e-comic in 2020. So there will be Boone for the taking. Also, Buckskin Boone's Spring Break story from 05 is going to be on Forces coming up here in a few weeks. It's a Buckskin Boone in New York City.
That's dope, man.
I'm excited for it, man. It's such a fun story. Carl dropped out. I was just gonna ask him some more questions.
Oh crap.
But in fairness, he is on the East Coast, and not to tell anything he hasn't already said on my show before. So it is quite late there.
Oh yeah, dude. So I'm an hour behind you, and he's 2 hours behind you, maybe.
Oh, looks like he came back. Carl, thanks for coming back.
Sorry about that.
No, man.
It just sort of happened.
I just saw you drop off, and I was like, man, there was something I was just going to ask him. And after talking about it, I don't remember what it was now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I did have a question, and I'm not sure this might not be a for the stream thing, but you and Matt are working on a little fan project, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to be posted anywhere, or are you just doing it to have?
We're probably going to post that up on Tapas when it's finished.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's Matt McGibson. Matt started a Discord server for the Mattriarchy. I honestly have no idea how many people on the Discord actually watch the show, but they all like have these weird Gen Z conversations that I don't really understand. But I just show up as the old dude and ask weird questions and have these 20-somethings be very graciously explain them to my old ass. So well, and it's weird because like my kids are not much younger than a lot of those folks that are on the thing, but we homeschool, so like we have shared experience with my children because we homeschooled them, and even though like Donovan's away at college now, he comes back. He goes to college in our town, so he still lives with us. So he comes back in the evenings and tells us about the things he learned from his college friends, and so
yeah,
there's something about that with that, but like you guys, I don't even know half of what goes on there.
dude, I'm just blown away right now at my 6-year-old telling me the stuff that other kids are teaching her in her school and the teachers already. It makes me sick to my stomach. Like some of the discussions that she's already involved in. Like a lot of the kids are coming home, or a lot of the kids she's telling me are telling her like, oh yeah, this about this political topic and this political. I was like, what is going on at this elementary school already? You're 6 years old, and she recites this stuff back in numerous bullet points of things that she was instructed by her other like highly indoctrinated classmates already, and
that's so weird.
Ill, dude.
Like, I try not to. I work with teenagers, right? And one of the things that we do as part of our activities is we have a weekly youth group where we have invite our kids who are enrolled in our program and also any of their friends and other community members. Young people from the community come in, and we have kind of we have some food and some games and some discussion, and just kind of have an informal or a semi-formal time for people to act out and put into action different types of things that we're trying to help them learn as far as life skills and community living and all that kind of stuff, right?
Dang, yeah, that's cool, man.
It's fun, but like, and I try not to get too political because I want people to come to their own ideas about it, and I'm more interested in foundation principles than I am about who you vote for, because I think that learning to relate to people as humans first really dictates how you think about politics later on. So I try not to get into it too much. Just talk about individuality and responsibility and blah blah blah. Those kind of foundational things.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday I overheard a couple of the kids just going on about politics, and I had to step in because for some reason this guy had gotten in his head that he had confused like his like recent history, and he had thought that the CEO of Godfathers had become Trump's head of security. I said, I think you're confusing Herman Cain, who ran for president in 2012.
Oh my goodness, I haven't heard that name in so long.
You might be right. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't just the CEO of Godfathers. He had a whole career saving businesses, and Godfathers was one of them. But
Yeah, the pizza, right? Is that what you're talking about? The pizza
yeah,
company?
yeah,
Dang,
yeah,
I haven't heard about that in forever.
yeah. Well, he was I mean, he had he was brought into various companies to save them from like ruin, and
Hmm.
he run a company for a while and move on to the next one, and that was how that's what his job model was. Kind
Well,
of like how what Romney did with Bain Capital.
oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, that was a lot of that going on. It's been so long since I even voted. I try to keep up with it too, and I love politics and drama. I try to let stuff play in the background, and but I cannot keep up with all of it.
Well, and part of it is like some of what we see going on isn't really what's really going on. It's just all like shell games and bread and circuses and all that kind of stuff. So like
Yeah, that's true.
getting down to the meat of it is really a challenging thing, and it's something that you gotta keep an eye on. And what really gets me crazy is, and I don't want to get into it too much tonight. I do sometimes get into the politics thing pretty heavy, but um, our politics, there you can have there's a you can have a very left wing reason for wanting a conservative thing to happen because
Oh yeah, yeah.
right wing and left wing aren't the same as conservative and liberal, and they've been used interchangeably, and I think intentionally to make people stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and the little spoiler alert about forces: the big villain is the Department of Education. Um, shh, because I think that we actually have had the reason. Part of the reason we went with that is because I really, in the real world, believe that our education system has been partly designed to make people good taxpayers and bad citizens. Um, because we don't teach people to be independent. We don't teach people to think for themselves. We don't teach people to govern themselves.
Yeah, not
Um,
taught how to think, but what to think, I guess, maybe.
exactly. And so like um, and so one of the things that bugs me is people that hold conservative or what conservative positions, but they hold them for left wing or authoritarian reasons, right?
Mm, yeah.
And like not to get too much into current Twitter affairs, but um, just a little bit like free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences for speech, right?
There-
It, it's not a right wing. It's not a right wing position to believe that your speech doesn't have consequences, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have a responsibility to your speech. That's and the reason for that is reflected in Adam's statement that our Constitution is suitable only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly insufficient for the governance of any other, right?
Hmm,
Only self-governing people can be governed by our Constitution.
yeah.
Without a freedom that it allows, because they're not going to abuse that freedom to inflict their tyrannical will upon others.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, so like, if you have people that are harassing others through their speech, they're not living up to the requirement of free speech, right? So, and I mean legitimately like hounding after people, not just saying things that people disagree with, but actually going after people in disagreement,
Mm,
and hounding people of various opinions. That's not free speech. That's borders can border on harassment, and it's not. It's tyrannically forcing your will upon somebody else against their consent. So you have a conservative position, free speech, but you're holding it that way so you can feel free to force your will upon other people. And that's a tyrannical attitude.
dang.
Um, and so, so that's one thing that just gets me. It irritates me when people hold that they're like, no, I'm being a good conservative because I want to withhold some freedom from somebody else. I want to force my will upon somebody else, and that's not what it's supposed to be about.
I'm just blown away at on on either side that you want to pick at how pandemonious and crazy it is like on both sides. Like this is the most outrageous time to be keeping up with political spherical stuff, and I just like everything that's being promised and everything that's being uttered and criticized from on both sides towards the other side. It's the most exciting time in politics
Yeah.
that I think I've ever observed.
Well, and I mean, to take something of a hot take, and it's not original to me. I mean, I noticed it, but I wasn't the first to say it. Was the alphabet soup networks spent 2 years. They spent 3 years looking for video cassettes of Russian prostitutes peeing on the president, and actively ignoring pedophile island.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's pretty much done. I mean, that's pretty much been covered, and they've moved on already from that. Like,
Yeah.
what was, what did come out about that, right? I mean, if they never
Yeah.
talked about it again, they were pretty successful at like dodging whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much.
I mean, there's been because Epstein was arrested and then he was died in custody, and
He was suicided.
this week the coroner came out and said there's very little likelihood that he was killed by his own hand. Suicide is
Really?
pretty much off. Yeah, that's why Epstein didn't kill himself is such a meme right now.
Oh man, I'm so out of the loop on
Yeah,
things.
it's because the coroner actually issued a statement that said it's very unlikely that he died by his own hand.
Gosh, man.
The breaks in his neck are not consistent with hanging.
From his paper blankies.
Yeah. So with that, that's part of why it's become such a meme there on Twitter, if you've noticed that. And
I did notice the memes, but I didn't know that was because of the corner man. Because I'm so gone right now.
no, that's okay. I mean, you're drawing. But yeah, that's part of the deal right now. But yeah, and the other thing is that the coroner announced this on Monday. On Tuesday, an ABC anchor on a hot mic admitted to her production staff she didn't realize they were taping. That ABC shuttered the story 2 years ago.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's happened at the same time.
Gosh.
So that's all part of that little thing.
No, yeah. Honestly, like in order to keep finances under control over here in this household and the freaking absurd property taxes where I am, because they're not as bad in a lot of places in Texas as they are near Austin where I'm at. But I don't have cable TV. I barely have internet. I mean, nothing. Like we just get by on cell phones, tablets, and ramen over here.
Yeah, we actually for the first time since just after my oldest son was born, we have internet at our house. Our local cable company started offering a deal where it's like $30 a month for like 3 years.
Whoa.
I'm like,
3 years?
yes,
what? 3
I will
year
give.
plan? Holy crap!
Yeah, and there's no contract either. But
we're lucky if they can keep a deal for over 12 months out here. Like, so ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've been lucky though. I'm not gonna lie. I got my house for pretty cheap. It's just and we're doing really good, like financially. But yeah, silly stuff like that comes up. You got to deal with it.
Yeah,
I'm about to switch cell phone companies. Hey, anybody know a good cell phone company? Who do you like?
I actually use Straight Talk at Walmart.
What?
Yeah, it's like $45 a month for virtually unlimited data, unlimited minutes and texts.
AT&T is pissing me off right now.
And the great thing about Straight Talk is that they have contracts with most other providers, so they have no roaming and virtually limitless coverage because they piggyback off other people's signals.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, the infrastructure has been in place for years. So,
well, I'm about to I gotta make a move, man, because I'm paying like $195 just for 2 lines right now, and it just kept going up and up and up over the years. I'm just like, y'all, how did it get here? You know, I mean, it was always kind of stupid price because I mean I've been with them for over 10 years, and everything a lot's changed in 10 years. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
So
AT&T is notorious for just being
that's
sneaky like that.
crazy.
No, yeah, I gotta make a move. Yeah, for 2 lines, man, it's ridiculous.
That's nuts.
That's my
Yeah,
next.
so-
That's my next big thing to obsess about is
So
to
we're
go
we're
look.
we're at 90 for 2 lines.
Gosh, that's
My wife and I. That's what we've got.
gosh, that's freaking less
So,
than that.
of course, my son, he has a phone too, but he has his own money now. So, kid. So here's the thing. This is a great story of my kid. Okay, before we get on to my story of my kid, Metal from the chat off our last topic said they really want to bring full blown serfdom back, but they won't admit it.
What's that? Wait, what are we talking about?
Said right. Because really, socialism is just serfdom. It just replaces one set of kings for another.
Oh dang, man, I gotta get it. I don't know. That's all unfamiliar to me. I gotta check that out. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I was here. We had a show a couple weeks ago with Star Storyteller came on, and C came on, and I spent 2 hours trying to convince them that religion, politics, and philosophy are really all one thing, and it's the only thing worth talking about.
I can get behind that. That's.
I'm not sure that I convinced them, but it was a real fun conversation.
Oh man, I gotta check that out. Was that on your channel?
It's fun. It's fun. So yeah, apparently now we usually in here watching the chat, we usually have 2 or 3, sometimes 5 people that watch for most of the show, but there's like 30 people that come and check the replay.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Like every week we have like 30 people that watch at least part of the show. So, and like I mentioned I had Tim on a couple weeks ago because like I saw Tim on a live stream and I just said hey because we've shared a couple messages on Twitter, and he stopped and he said, "Rhys, I love your show. You should have me on." I said, "Okay."
All right, the next move is you got to have me on with Tim and Mark.
I was trying to get that happen this week.
Yeah, but those cats, they're in freaking Disney World right now.
So. Oh, I would love to, Matthew, but I'm on vacation. I forgot. He said he was going a long time ago, and he's like, I texted him about something the other day, and he's like, "Hey man, you want something from Disney World?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot all about that." I was like, "Man, no, I can't think of a thing. I gotta." Yeah, I do. I
gotta think of something before he gets out of there.
I want to have Tim on several different times because when he was last on, we talked a lot of world building. Metal was on; it was a lot of fun. But and we talked about kind of the origin behind why he came up with Black Ops. That was a lot of fun.
So good. He's fulfilling it right now. It's gonna be epic.
I know. Well, and like here's crazy. It's still a race, right? Because which is gonna get to my door first? Because they're both fulfilling at the same time. Soul Finder and Black Ops.
Oh, Soul Finder. Yeah, you lucky kid. I know he's he was telling me, Tim was telling me he's got plans to go up and meet up with Doug to do a big signing too.
Yeah,
so
like next week.
Dang man, it's a busy time, and I can't wait to get my mitts on him too. He had Soul Finder had some really cool trading cards made up that I saw a little while back. I was very excited about.
Well, they're prayer cards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they look really cool. They're really
man, I had Doug on to talk about it too, and it was really funny because I've been a Doug fan for a long time, right? I found Doug back in probably August 2018.
He's really cool. He's really sharp. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, but he was talking about it like apologetically about how there's not a lot in the campaign, but we hope people will dig it. And I'm just like a lot of swag because people have been asking about the swag, I guess. And I was like, it's about an austere order of Catholic clergy
I never really thought of it like that.
That's what I was going for.
Oh, crap. Oh.
I was like, and then he's like, then he says, "Oh, I just hope people like it." And I'm like, my goodness, dude,
Yeah,
this is gonna be like, this is C.S. Lewis level stuff, dude. I know it's gonna be good. I mean, all the stuff he put in there, I'm just excited to see it. I'm stoked.
Yeah, Tim, I did just a couple of pieces of artwork for it, just for fun for the campaign, and I got to see little sneak peeks of a lot of the artwork throughout the book. Man, yeah, Tim really stepped it up.
Bringing the A game. I am excited for both of those things.
I'm just saying, it's going to be close. You're probably right, but I think Tim is going to dominate in the fulfill. I mean, like nothing against what Doug's got going on, but I think Doug scheduling his signing with Tim is gonna put him just a little bit behind Black Ops, but I think it'll still be close. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think both of them are going to be freaking excellent.
Because, like, well, and Tim shared today that he got a message from Antarctic that they expect the entire shipment of everything to arrive at their big warehouse Tuesday.
Dang.
So, so it's going to start shipping out after they start compiling them next week. So it's going to be pretty neck and neck. I think they're shipping more units than Soulfighter, but the signatures are going to take a real difference out of that, I think. Playing the odds.
I'm glad we got back to this point too, because I totally forgot about it. But if I didn't mention it before we get off, the Bill would smack me around a bit. But we do have Punchline Volume 2, issues 6 through 10, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or both coming up in about a week or two. So
really?
Yeah, so we're going to launch that campaign very soon before it gets too holiday heavy here.
So are you going to be running that for just a month then, or what's your plan?
That's a good question. We're still trying to figure it out, because we're probably going to do Kickstarter first, and I don't think we're going to do them at the same time. Probably Kickstarter first, and I don't know how that works I mean, I've only ever assisted, and I've helped out like probably on 10 different Kickstarter / Indiegogo campaigns, but I've never really run one by myself. And I know little details about them, but I don't know what the time limit's going to be like for any of it. But I just know that the launch, look out for that. It'll be up on my Twitter. It's going to be very soon, within the week or two.
We'll have to try to figure out when we can get you guys on during one of those.
Yeah. That's a freaking great.
Like
idea.
I said, I don't have a huge audience, and
it's probably for the best for me, because
guys that are watching now or later, I am within 10 people of having 100 subs, and when I do that, like, I can actually name the channel something that people can find. That's the only thing about. I'm not out there to get 10,000 subs or get myself a golden play button or any of that nonsense. I just want to name my channel something that people can find. That's it. So
yeah, I dig it.
I'm within 10 subs of being able to do that, and I think that would be great.
Wait, you're saying that because you can name your channel something?
Yeah, at 100 subs, you can name your channel, the URL something, just you can pick it.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I gotta look into that. I don't know how many subs I got, but I might. Dang, that's really good. I gotta get on. I gotta get on
for
streaming.
Example, I don't know very many. Can't think of any names off the top of my head on that, but I do know that, like, for example, Ethan's channel is youtube.com/fascist frog. Is Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And so that's the URL for his. And I want to have something. I don't know if I'm going to have, like, the Mattriarchy as the channel name.
That's a freaking good name.
Here's the thing about it. I don't have a problem calling the show the Mattriarchy because Matt and I started it. Mm-hmm. But I'd feel a little weird having the channel just be called Mattriarchy when it's my channel, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying,
See,
man.
so it's maybe I'll DM Matt and see what he thinks about it.
No,
I'll
bro,
put
you just
tons on
you
it.
just gotta commandeer that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm not gonna. It was
No,
his idea, though.
I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I see what you're
you know what
saying.
I'm saying? I mean, I know you're half joking, but I can't just.
Well,
I mean,
it's
as
fun.
as
Like,
even if he's not here, and I don't know if he feels that way about me, but Matt's my boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not. I love that kid.
Well, that's why
So,
things are gonna work out for you guys. Like, because you got sacred stuff like that. The thing that keeps coming to my mind is like between Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the um YouTube, and maybe a Patreon or just whatever, all your social media stuff. Like, I cannot find a common name that I can have for all of it.
Yep.
And it's killing me right now between all of those. It's all something different. I'm trying to get something uniform going, and it's killing me right now. Mm-mm-mm.
So, we've been on 2.5 hours almost, which is a half hour longer than normal.
It's time to eat. No, I'm just
It
kidding.
is. It is. I haven't had supper yet, so.
Oh yeah, same for me. But yeah, man, I cannot believe it's been that long.
Yeah, this
Sorry,
has gone really fast, man.
I just want to say sorry. I usually draw along with Chester and the drawing with Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition. Those are a really awesome bunch of guys. I'm sure everybody knows about it, but like the Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition or Ultimate Edition is going on right now, I believe, still. So go check out Chester Busby and look out for Punchline, the new campaign, Volume 2 on Kickstarter in the next week or two.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. We'll definitely have to have you on again. This was a real good jaw, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we got a lot of we covered a lot of topics just for
I have a lot more Punchline questions that I didn't get to because we started talking about my comics, which is okay. But that actually works out really well because you guys have the campaign coming up, and I want you both to come down.
That's right.
So I can get both of the Punchline brains going with more questions to feed my endless curiosity.
All right, it's settled then. Like Bill will just have to, get his he'll have to get some beauty sleep another time. Whatever he's got scheduled, he's got to suck it up. Make it.
Yep. We'll definitely talk about that. Carl,
cool,
thank you for hanging out a little while. I know I felt like I didn't ask you enough questions today.
That's all right. It happens.
So, Carl, of course, is his link. It will be down. If it isn't yet because I suck. I didn't even get Weldon's stuff down there. It was the worst. I threw it together.
Well, send me your stuff in that
thought,
DM stuff too, so I can tweet that stuff out and do help. We can all shuffle it around.
For those of you guys who listened and thought, hey, this Ideal Comics stuff doesn't sound half bad, idealcomics.net is our website. We are in the process of rebuilding it, so there's a little light on content right now. But you can go there and catch the link or go direct to forcesofgoodandevil.net, just like you have on the board here. And with that, you can actually check out that our webcomic, which is a decent introduction into our universe, full of superheroes and fairies and a few aliens here and there too.
Beauty.
So that is that's the story with that. And also, if you wanted to support Ideal Comics with shares going to our artist contributors, as well as plans for the future, check out our patreon.com/ideal_comics. I don't have a banner for it, and I'm not going to type one up right now. But with that, that all goes, like I said, to Barry, Rico, and a little pot for the future. As we're working on a project coming up for 2020, we hope to be able to get you guys books in hand, and I might even try to pitch them around to some other publishers if they're willing to work with an imprint.
Dude,
otherwise,
I'm excited. That sounds really awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I think that 2019 was a big building year for us with getting some projects moving along. I think 2020 is going to be a big production year for us. So,
dude, yeah, keep it fresh, man. You got some good fresh ideas, and like you guys are really motivated.
yeah, we've got like I said, we have centuries worth of stories to tell. Honestly, man, I'm not even making that up. So
Yeah, so I'll tweet out this stream. I'll post these drawings up on Twitter, and I'll link it to the stream of the show,
cool,
and
man. Cool.
maybe we get some new people.
Sweet.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks much. And keep an eye out there. And guys, keep loving comics. That's what it's all about, right?
Definitely.
It's all about finding the things that make life worth living. And I think one of those things are hero stories.
It was nice to meet you, Carltoons, and
Thank you.
and we'll do it again
Nice to meet you
super
too.
soon. Thanks, bro.
Cool, man. Well, we're gonna call it here. And you guys have fun, internet.
Later, y'all.